Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever. Um, for Ricky and I, it is top of the morning, and we're bringing you episode 24 of Hobby Talk, a cardboard podcast. Ricky, two more episodes, and we will be at 26, which means that we've been recording for a full year because there's 52 weeks in a year. Holy crap, time does fly. But more importantly, it's been 2 weeks since the National, and so much of the hobby has unraveled since then. And we're going to bring you a variety of topics in today's episode. But before we dive into any of it, Ricky, I must get through the pleasantries. How are you doing on this fine morning?
Well, good morning. I'm good. Been been working a lot, but putting in a lot of work with this car stuff too. So I'm good. I like it.
That is good. Welcome back. I know you mentioned that the National was your first card show in a very, very long time. So I guess we'll just kind of dive into the National itself. uh Obviously we got each other's kind of thoughts, opinions, reactions and stuff, and over the course of 2 weeks we've heard a bunch more to have come out. But now that we've had 2 weeks to kind of decompress and kind of sit on our 2024 national experience, do you have any other takes or opinions, comments, concerns, or anything now that we're a couple weeks removed from the national that maybe you didn't get to address during the live stream?
Um, Not necessarily. I'm just glad I went. I'm glad I ended up taking the trip. Um, I'm glad for the next 3 years I'm not gonna have to take a trip because it's in
Must be
Chicago.
nice.
Because it's in Chicago and it's just so much better in Chicago than it was in Cleveland. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next at least three.
It's funny, a lot of people will pop into the shop and they'll ask me either if I went to the national or how it was because they know that I went to the national, and I find myself always saying everything you heard about it, the bathroom lines, the traffic, the overpricing, it's all true. And word about all of that has gone around pretty quick, at least here in the Rhode Island area. And if it's gone around Rhode Island, it's probably getting around everywhere else too. So that's definitely a major concern as we kind of again decompress what we had at the National in Cleveland, and hopefully going back to Chicago for the next couple of years. Like you said, it is just a much better venue. It's pretty much better everything. In all honesty, they should probably just kind of pencil it in there year after year. But I mean, yeah, the National was fun overall, and there was so much hecticness. There was chaos for good and for bad. But the thing that I just can't unwrap my head around is the overpricing. And Ricky, you were walking around, you were pricing cards out. It's their cards. They're gonna price it for whatever they're gonna want, but they they can't expect to move a $10 card when they have it jacked up to 25 or $30. So
Right.
I mean, Ricky, after you left um, the live stream 2 weeks ago and you went out and about, did you find yourself struggling to continue to make more deals, or were you able to kind of come across a few easy layups?
Um, I'd say I did more deals like uh,
I know you
there
gotta like
was there were
unwind the clock.
yeah, there were some dealers who were decently priced that would work with you. You just had to
Mhm.
find them. Like I was telling you at the table where I bought like my Adley and Jackson Cheerios, he had some decently priced stuff. You just had to find it.
Yeah.
So
And
like it's all about finding the good deals. You gotta work for it.
it's funny. A lot of people don't want to work for it, whether they're buying cards or more popularly selling cards. They don't want to put in the work for it. But at any big show, not even just the national, regional shows, or even shows with like a couple hundred tables, you have to put in the work into it for some degree. I mean, people just kind of go up to you, hey, are you buying? And they want you to sell all their, they want you to buy all their junk. And then when it's time to sell, they want to offload it for an extremely high value. There's definitely a level of work that needs to go into it. And I want to kind of transition to another topic, because how much more is there really to talk about the national that hasn't already been discussed, whether it's by
Mhm.
me, you, YouTube channel, other influencers, other platforms out there. So I want to kind of pivot and talk about the work that needs to be done after the fact. I know we were kind of talking about on social media how you need to kind of get caught up on posting cards on eBay and kind of start selling again. Walk me through that process of, okay, you just spent X amount of money on all these cards. Sure, you maybe have sold a few, but what's the process of kind of getting them listed, kind of finding the mental state, and then the profits that you take from those? How do we distribute that back into your hobby economy, if that all makes sense?
No, it does. Yeah, no, when I've listed everything that I've bought at the National on eBay already. I've been doing pretty well moving stuff. Like
Good.
I've yeah, when I'm listing cards on eBay or in general, I have a price that I want that I would sell it for outside of eBay and a price that I would sell it for on eBay because all the fees and all that. But when I list on eBay, I like to be the cheapest one listed, just so it's just it moves quicker. But at the same time, I don't want to beat myself up just to make a sale.
I think I asked you this. Are you one of those to have like a spreadsheet of I bought it for this, grading cost that if you graded it, and I'm asking this, so you kind of know what the lowest you can take is if you get an offer.
Yeah, so I made a spreadsheet of the cards that I bought at the National just because I spent a decent amount of money
Hmm.
and I made a decent amount of deals. So I wanted to make sure I kept track of all that. I took pictures of the lots and then labeled them, lot 4, lot 5, whatever. Put them in the Excel spread, what I paid for it, and and then what it sells for. So I am keeping track of all of those cards. I do need to do better job at keeping track of all my cards instead of just the ones of the Nationals.
See, to me, I mean, you would think someone with a shop would kind of have a spreadsheet like that just so they're really on top of it. But honestly, it's a lot of work to do a spreadsheet. And I mean, with the amount of cards you have, you could probably imagine like, wow, I mean, how much more of this can I do? How much more of it can I keep track? And that's kind of where I'm at. It's just like I get the card, I tag it. And if I can get the tag, then I'm winning. If I take a little bit less, then the chances are I'm probably still making out on it. It's just a little bit of a challenge to keep track of all this and all that money in, money out. And I mean, maybe that's just me kind of being on this side of the counter saying that. But do you think that keeping a spreadsheet of the ROI, the cards, the sales, all that good stuff is necessary? Or do you think that it's recommended, maybe? Or is it just something that you kind of just find yourself doing because that's kind of the best way you find yourself keeping track of things?
Um, I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it's definitely recommended.
Hmm.
Just because sometimes I usually don't have a problem remembering what I paid for a card, but it's definitely helpful for someone who does forget, like if they had a card for a month or something. It helps you remember what you paid for it. How much you could take for it, or if you bought it in a lot, how much you could sell it for to still make money. Um, so yeah, like you don't necessarily need it, but it's definitely helpful.
There's a guy, I might have mentioned this before, I forget, I was set up with him at a show one time, and he probably had like 4 cases full of cards. And no matter which couple cards you picked out that you wanted to look at, whether they were in the showcases or even in like the value bins, whipped out the computer, pulled out the spreadsheet, the 1,000 line
That's
spreadsheet to look at the cards. I'm like, "Oh, how do you
that's
do
too
it?"
much.
My
That's too
that's what I'm
much.
saying. It's just like in the heat of a show where you want and hope to expect a lot of fast paced, fire sailing movement. It's just like, how do you keep track with it? Like, again, and
Like,
listen, if I can get a little bit less than my tag or at my tag, I'm good because I can't remember what I buy cards for, what I get into them for. It's just can't remember it, and don't think my brain has the capacity to remember all the cards, especially the ones that maybe sit for a while. So I mean, would it be helpful? Sure, but it's just, I mean, there's so much work that I'm already doing. It's just one less thing that I don't want to do.
As long as long as you're making more money than you spend, then that's all that matters.
I try to tell people all the time, like, if it's okay to lose a couple of deals here and there, it's gonna happen. You're gonna overpay for something, or you're gonna pay for something and then it sells for less, and you're gonna lose on it. That's fine. It happens. It happens to all of us. But you got to win more than you're losing, win more
Right.
deals than you're losing, or at the very least break even on a few along the way as well. I mean, it's okay, and I think a lot of people get hell bent over. Oh, I paid $600, $700 for that card back in 2021. I can't let it go for $100.
You're gonna have to.
I don't know what to tell you. You're either gonna sit on a $600 brick, or at least you can make $100 and go take yourself out to a nice dinner tonight. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's not my fault. I mean, I know someone who bought a nice car during 2022, I think it was. It was like $800. Then it dipped to like 4 or 5, and it kind of crept back up a little bit, but it's not at that 800. It's maybe at like that 600 number. So at least it didn't bottom out. But when you're looking at an $800 card that you spent and now it's only 600, I mean, it still doesn't feel that great. But listen, win more than you lose, and I think you'll be fine. I mean, again, losing a couple of deals is going to happen. But I mean, going back to kind of what you were saying about having to work for the deals, yeah, you had to work for those deals. Let me tell you, it was just crazy how overpriced a lot of the vendors were, and how unnegotiable or unwilling to negotiate a lot of them were. And I get it; they paid a lot of money to set up as vendors. I totally get it, but like, you're losing money by just like, oh, you have $520 worth of stuff. The best I can do is five. It's like, I'm not looking for $200 or $300 here. Like, I'll give you something in the fours, but I don't know. It was definitely an experience, and it's hard for me to say it's my worst experience, because I did enjoy Atlantic City. I really did, as much as crap as it gets, and I give Atlantic City crap. But just Chicago is just simply better. I don't know. The vendors were better. I don't know if the hobby was in a better place back last year, or the venue, the food, the hotels, everything was just better. I don't know what it was, Ricky, but last year's experience in Chicago was just better, and hopefully next year's is too.
Well, that's just Chicago better overall. But um, no, last year with it being so much bigger, there were a lot more options.
Yes,
A lot more
that's
vendors.
an. Mm-hmm.
Corporate took a lot of space this year.
And like, not only were they in that like first area, like that food court area, let's call it, or the Vintage Village side, when you first walk in. No. If you banged the left and went through those doors, there was Beckett, there was CGC, there was V Friends. So, I mean, they were spread out everywhere. And then a huge chunk of it has to go towards the autograph signers, which, listen, hey, I'm all for it. It's part of the show. It's part of the deal. But you have the food court, two corporate sections pretty much, and then you have the autograph signings, and then that, how much space does that leave for vendors and booths and such like that? I mean, not a lot. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, there's so much more space for so many more options. And I tell people this who ask for my opinion and my thoughts about this past year's national, is like, every year I'm already looking forward to the next year. As much fun as I had this year, I'm already looking forward to next year, because Chicago is just better. And hopefully, hopefully it is. I mean, we can only talk so much about it, but hopefully it is better at the end of the day. Ricky, what do we want to talk about next? You got the topics in front of you. I don't want to spill the beans too much, but what do we want to talk about next?
I want to talk about the kid that you gave up on already.
I didn't give up on him.
You did.
Wait, whoa! I did not give up on him.
Guilty conscience. You know who I'm talking about?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I said.
I didn't even say a name, and you already know who I'm talking about.
Well, first of all, who else would you be talking about? Let's just get that out of the way. Who else would you be talking about?
I don't know.
Exactly. I feel as if that rifle was pointed at me before you even shot. Okay. I will admit, I was very low on Jackson Holliday. I was. And I'm being proven wrong. But I have a healthy track record, not just on this podcast, on my camera shop memory feed, on other YouTube videos, that I constantly said, I hope I am wrong. I hope I am wrong. I said he got called up too early. And I always asked people this one question: what if he gets called up and he sucks? And people said, oh, he's too good to suck. Well, what happened, Ricky? What happened when he first got called up?
It doesn't
He
matter. That's the past.
sucked. Well, no, I gotta build the house. I gotta build the house. He sucked. It's just plain and simple. 1-41,
He
you
did.
suck.
He did.
I'm
He
sorry.
did.
I probably have a good shot at going 1-41 or whatever he was myself. But I said that he needs to get brought back down and he needs to stay down there for a few months. And that when he gets called back up again, he should learn from his mistakes, fix a couple things, critique a few things, and he will be fine. But I always said, I hope I am wrong about him sucking. And he's proven through like what a week he's been called up, or a week, whatever the change is.
Give or take.
He looks pretty good. He looks pretty good, and I'm happy for him. I don't want kids to suck. I want them to play well.
He hit a home run in 3 games in a row.
MLB on Instagram is glazing this kid beyond belief, and
I saw you.
I'm about to unfollow MLB on Instagram just for like a couple weeks. I can't take it. But
I don't know.
okay, Mr. I believed in Jackson Holliday from the very beginning, from when he was 14. What are your thoughts and opinions about him?
No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I had a holiday card and I dumped it a little after he got back sent down. So I'm not gonna sit here and say like I've been the biggest believer, but no, I mean it is good to see him returning and being so hot right now. I'm sure he'll come back to earth, but it is nice to see him get his .0 something average up.
It's almost like, I don't want to say the hobby needed him, because I don't think the hobby, specifically baseball, I'm not going to talk about basketball, football. The baseball hobby aspect of it shouldn't just need one guy, but they love to attach and sink their teeth into one guy. Last year, it was Ellie. The year before, it was Julio Rodriguez. The year before that, it was Wander Franco. I mean, it's just like, if you spread it out over a couple of guys, like we can still get Ellie De La Cruz rookie cards in some of this year's products. And he's playing exceptionally well. He's gone the average back up a little bit. He's striking out a little bit less. And he is beyondly exciting to watch. But his name is not Jackson Holliday. And I think the hobby, I just feel like it was doomsday when the hobby, for the hobby, when Jackson Holliday got sent back down, because their golden boy sucked and they didn't know what to do, because Ellie was playing okay. He was playing pretty good, actually. Bobby Wood Jr. hadn't, gone crazy just yet. And it's just like, what do we do? Oh my God, this kid got called up and he sucks, and his cards aren't worth thousands of dollars like I was buying them for. What?
And then here comes James Wood to save the day.
Yes. And he had a lot of hype coming up, not just as a prospect in the hobby, but like now that he gets called up again, Ricky, I love when you say this. Is like what is it? You buy the rumor, sell the, what is it, Ricky?
You got it right. Buy the rumor,
sell the news, right?
Yep.
And that is the epitome of baseball prospecting. It's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants a Bobby Wood Jr. card, and he's arguably the best player on the planet right now.
Right.
Nobody wants a James Wood card, and he is performing at a high elite level for a young prospect at his size, which is an awkward size for a baseball player, 6'7", 220. I mean, he's a thin, tall dude. So, like, they didn't get called up and got called down like Jackson Holliday did. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz got called up, and though he struggled at the end of the year last year, he's playing pretty good this year. And I don't know if people are just scarred from Wander Franco, or they're scarred from Jackson Holliday, or their Ohtani investments just kind of, hit the fan. But like, this is why, like, when you look at football and I'm going on a huge tangent. When you look at football, we could probably rattle off 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks that we're all going to kind of buy, sell, trade, invest in, right? Whatever, Richardson, Stroud, Levis, all those guys. There's only one baseball player that people want, and his name's Jackson Holliday. And what if the kid gets injured, right? Then what? He's going to be out for a couple weeks, and then people are going to be running around with their heads cut off again. Enjoy it while it lasts. That's all I'm going to say. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Scenes was a hot name.
I totally forgot about. I didn't even mention Skeens, and he's a pitcher, but I think that's a whole different conversation. I don't know if you want me to open that can of worms.
Go ahead, open it. Open that can of worms.
Okay. So we have 4 generational pitchers right now, I think, in this generation. Verlander, Scherzer, DeGrom, Kershaw. Now, they've all been, in and out, with injury stints and stuff like that, or championships, or lack of playoff experience, whatever it may be. But those 4 are probably going to be this generation's best pitchers, right? The generation before was Pedro, Clemens, Maddox. This generation's, that's what we're kind of looking at, is those 4 guys. And then the next generation is probably going to be some kind of mix of Paul Skeens. I mean, I couldn't even tell you like the next generation's great pitchers, just because starting pitchers go 4 innings nowadays. But anyways, Paul Skeens' market is so high, and I'm not bitching about it, or I'm not complaining about it, because it's good for the pitcher's market. We've seen good pitchers come up through the pipeline and maybe hit a few bumps in the road, but turned out to be pretty good pitchers. And maybe people are scarred from Steven Strasburg, who, when he got called up well over 10 years ago, pitched pretty good. A couple injuries along the way, and then he just retired, but dude's 36. So when I look at Paul Skeens and his cards selling for stupid money, that gets me excited. That gets me happy for the pitcher's market, because unless your name is Sandy Koufax or Nolan Ryan, nobody cares about a pitcher. Pedro Martinez rookie cards sell for less than $5, and the dude's arguably one of the best pitchers of all time. Randy Johnson rookie cards, granted he was, in the 88, 89, I believe. Doesn't matter. Pennies on the dollar. And these are generational pitchers. So hopefully, Paul Skeens doesn't have that one start where he goes an inning and a third and gives up 7 runs. Hopefully he doesn't have that stint on the IL that just shuts him down for weeks on end. Hopefully he doesn't have Tommy John surgery, which I feel like for a lot of young kids is almost inevitable, because what he's doing on that side of the hobby is fantastic. And hopefully it brings momentum for the next up and coming pitcher, whoever that is, the next Paul Skeens, to kind of roll into maybe next year, the year after that. And then we can start looking at pitchers. And when we pull their cards and we pull their autos, we get a little excited, because right now, no one cares. So that's my can of worms.
Yeah, that's kind of the formula for coming up with Paul Skeens. You gotta, because that kid, he was drafted and then started the MLB All-Star game all within a year, something like that.
Yeah, he was drafted because the draft takes place just before the All-Star game. So I think 368 days, he went from being first overall pick to starting the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's just insane.
I mean, his past year is, I don't know, 15 months or so have been phenomenal. College World Series, first overall pick, flew through the minor leagues, came up. I mean, I don't think he lost. I think he just lost his first game like a couple weeks ago. His first game in like well over a year.
He only gave up 2 runs.
Which is ridiculous. I mean, this just screams DeGrom from when he was on the Mets in like 2017-ish, where his ERA was like 1.9, but his record's like 10 and 11. But again, nobody cares about DeGrom, who, again, arguably one of the best pitchers of this generation. And granted, he's been a little iffy with the injuries lately. I mean, if any of the up-and-coming pitchers have half the career DeGrom's had, pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, that's the thing about baseball cards and prospecting too. It's like you buy these prospects hoping they could have a career like, Mookie or Trout or something like that. But why not just buy Mookie and Trout?
question.
Go ahead.
But if they're hoping to have a career like Mookie, then why don't we just buy Mookie cards? And why do Mookie cards have no value?
I wish I had an
Right?
answer for you.
Right? I mean, well, we could say this about any of the sports, really. I mean, I love the Justin Herbert and Joe Montana example. If Herbert has half the career Joe Montana has, he's one of the best ever, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But Joe Montana had Joe Montana's career. Mookie Betts is having Mookie Betts' career. I mean, he just suffered his first like big time injury just this past year at age 32, and
Broken hand.
I mean, I think the move to shortstop is awful. My opinion. I think should just stay in the outfield, but whatever. I mean, Aaron Judge, who's had his fair share of injuries, people still kind of go crazy over him. Ohtani, his fair share of injuries, people still go crazy over him. But Mookie Betts, just again, his first big injury. Corey Seager, I don't think is. Oh no, he like tore. I think he had Tommy John his rookie season or near after. So it's like these guys are. I mean, I love the Corey Seager example. Nobody brings up Corey Seager as much as I do. But if people, I don't know. It's just I don't know, Ricky. I'm sorry. I don't understand because we're getting all excited over Wander Franco, hoping that he has Cal Ripken Jr.'s career. In that Wander Franco cards will sell for millions of dollars, and then he can't be found in Dominican waters.
Now you can buy his card for 14 cents.
That was, I don't know if there was an underlying joke there, but that was funny. I need a minute. Oh, we were talking about Jackson Holliday.
Oh yeah, right.
But I just like, I mean, that kid that just got drafted this past year, an Australian kid, I forget his name.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
the number one overall.
yeah. But like, nobody's getting all excited over him. I mean, listen, Jackson Holliday's a better prospect when he was drafted. I'll admit that. But like, isn't this just part of the cycle, Ricky? Is just we're on to the next guy. And I feel like even though Jackson Holliday got demoted and now promoted and playing well, we're not on to that next guy yet. Seems like we're hanging around to Jackson Holliday for a little bit. Is maybe, if I want to kind of spin it to maybe a positive, maybe Jackson Holliday playing good is the entryway into people actually caring about players' MLB cards and what they do at the MLB level. I mean, again, Bobby Witt's playing well, Ellie's playing well, Jackson Holliday's playing well, Paul Skeens is playing well. I mean, a lot of these younger kids that we were kind of, sinking our teeth into are playing well. Is that our way of like, okay, we don't need to just focus on the next guy. We can focus on the current guys. Because if that's the case, then I'll be the biggest Jackson Holliday fan out there too, because I want people to start caring more and more about the guys that are actually doing it and not the guys that could do it or should do it.
Right. Well, as someone who mainly does baseball, I don't know if I mean this when I say it, but I just hope people get more into baseball players in general. Like I just don't understand why baseball plays like I don't know, whatever. It's just not as important as basketball and football.
I mean, I know that the length of games, or not length of games, sorry, the length of the season has a huge factor to do with it. I mean, I think baseball should trim down the schedule a little bit. Not as a baseball purist, I'm against that, but just trying to look at it from a casual perspective or from even a business perspective of it is if you trim it back down to like 150 games or whatever, you sprinkle in a few more off days so players are taking less rest days, and then the idea of, well, if I don't watch tonight's game, I'll just watch tomorrow's game. Oh, but I can't watch tomorrow because I'm busy. Oh, then I'll just watch next week's game because there's always that amount of games. So I mean, with football, if you don't watch tonight's game or Sunday's game, then you got to wait a whole nother week. And that's a whole week of working 40 hours and, doing whatever and doing this and doing that. And it's like, oh, Sunday's back. So, I mean, with basketball, sometimes it's every night or every other night, but there's just less of it. I think baseball does a poor job marketing the sport and its players. I think that's a huge factor of it. I'm getting flamed for it on Instagram on that
I know.
Jackson Holliday post. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't glaze just one guy and hope to grow the sport. You just can't do it. I mean, they tried it with Mike Trout and it didn't work because the dude, as good as he is, I'm sorry, he's not that exciting to watch and he's always injured now. Sorry. They tried to do it with Wander Franco and it didn't work out either. They did it with Ohtani, and it was working out, but the dude's not pitching, and that's what brings the excitement of Ohtani is the pitching or the both element. Because if he just did one, I mean, he's a great hitter, and he's playing exceptionally well as a hitter, but he's doing nothing more than what Aaron Judge is doing, and people aren't bending over backwards for Aaron Judge cards, but they'll tune in and watch Aaron Judge though. So, I mean, I don't know. I think baseball just needs to clean house with their media, social media, with their marketing and advertisement departments, and bring in a whole new wave of people because nobody, or casuals, I should say, because I don't want to say nobody, casuals want football and basketball, not baseball. And just like with football, highly touted prospect in Wemby, performing well and playing and living up to the expectations. Basketball is doing well right now. Football, CJ Stroud lived up to actually exceeded the expectations, played well. People want football. Okay, we had that with Jackson Holliday, but he got demoted and people kind of lost faith in it, even though he's playing well again. But what's it going to take? Because right now baseball has like 4 or 5 CJ Strouds, in Ellie, Witt, Holliday, and Skeens. It's just the product is not there for people to just sit and watch. And I don't know if that's a baseball problem. I don't know if that's a people problem. I don't know if that's a player problem, but it's a problem. And baseball needs to fix it because until they do, it's going to be third fiddle.
I don't know if I'm speaking facts or not. You could probably kind of check me on this, but I feel like there's a lot more baseball card sets as well, so that kind of waters down the market.
I'm curious. I don't know the exact number. I'm curious how many Panini puts out, for football every year and basketball and baseball. I'm kind of curious now.
Yeah, because like it feels like every other day now I see a Topps post promoting a new set.
It's just no, it's very broad.
That might be hard to.
I don't know. I wish we would get like a set. I don't know, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. But I mean, if you look at the course of the season, now these companies want to push product throughout the course of a 12 month calendar year. Sorry. I mean, we're still getting 2023 football stuff. I mean, Optic just came out. Mosaic's going to be coming out, right? No, Mosaic. No, did Mosaic already come out? I don't even know. I forget. But like, they don't want to shove everything down our throats from August to February because in the middle of May, when we're itching to open something, there's nothing coming out. Plus, average people wouldn't be able to afford these products week after week after week after week. So they spread it out over the course of the year. And I think you're right. I don't know if there's too many products or if they're just released too frequently. Because like if we went, what is it? Eminence, I think, like releases every 4 years or something like that. Like, what if we did that with like, maybe not Sterling that being the top of the line, but what if we did that with like Bowman Finest? I don't know. I'm just making something up. Or we do that every so often with Topps Finest, and just have some like exclusivity, some scarcity behind it, and therefore you can market it. Be like, hey, first time in 3 years, first time in 4 years. You can only get it, and it'll look who's a rookie in this class. and you can market it that way. Like, yeah, this is your one chance because next year's rookie's not going to be in it. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think that that's a manufacturer's issue as well, is putting out too many products. It's like they're trying to like shove their products down our throats, so we're choking on their product and not the other company's product. And I
Right.
don't think that's how you attract customers. If anything, that's how you deter customers. Oh, did you freeze?
No.
Oh,
No, I'm just thinking. It's like, I mean, I say this all the time. As long as they're selling cards, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing.
yep,
Like
yep. I mean,
they're not going to scale it back. They're not going to improve quality. They're not going to stop making sets because they know it's going to sell out anyway. So I
and,
don't blame them for what they do. If I was in their shoes,
and
I would be doing the same thing.
and if they make a new set, then they can market it as debut edition, first ever set. And that's just going to sell because it's the first. And maybe it has long term value because it's the debut, it's the first set, the first run of maybe a potential fan favorite. Yeah, I mean, we're still going to buy their cards. So there's no reason for them to change. There's no reason for Panini to up their quality because we're still going to buy their cards anyways. So why change? There's no reason to change unless everybody just stops buying Panini products, which January 1st, 2026, we will. But until then, if we don't stop, then they're not going to change and there's no need to change. And speaking of
Right.
quality, Ricky, do we want to talk about Optic or do we want to talk about Topps Chrome? Because this is a good segue.
Talk about Topps Chrome. I want to hear your thoughts. I know you. I know you have a lot of opinions on this.
Horrendous. I never, ever. I gotta pull it up. While I pull it up, Ricky, give me your thoughts about it. Because it's gonna take me a second to pull it up.
Yeah, so I've seen some pictures of the cards, that they posted and all that, and I'm not gonna lie, they're ugly. They are not good looking cards. The fact that there's Wemby rookie autos and LeBron autos in that set, it's going to carry that set. Like, come on now. That's just so ugly.
So, like, I think the rock stars design of the card, take the player out, the physical design of the card looks good. I think
Yeah.
we could both
Oh,
probably
that's
agree
cool.
on that. The insert looks nice, the color looks good, the designs of the rock. I mean, we're not complaining about that. This is what we're complaining about
Oh,
is this.
oh,
Why is the 0 moved up on the
it,
jersey to cover where it would have said Celtics on it?
it hurts my eyes.
I don't understand. I mean, what is this? The 2 is in his neck. I
Like, why
just
why are the numbers different sizes too?
like look at this. Look, like, if this is supposed to, let's just hypothetically say that this was supposed to be licensed. Where is it supposed to say Heat on it? Where is it supposed to say Miami on this? Because usually it's like at the top and then it's the number. With the number in his throat, there's no room for it to have said Miami or Heat. I mean, you got all this space down here, and like it's just like, ugh, I don't know. I mean, you can't really tell with that one. Of course, they're gonna make the Wemby one look the best. I mean, that one's just meh. Look at this. Like, come on, hold on, hold on. Where's my favorite? Like, okay, here's the Halliburton. Like this one doesn't look terrible because at least here it would kind of say Pacers on it. So at least there's room for it to have said Pacers on it. And of course, without the license, they can't say it. So I get it. But like Trey Young is not an AAU player anymore. And that is exactly what this looks like. Like, I know he looks young to begin with, but like, come on. Like the dude looks like he's lacing up for a 7:30 a.m. basketball game.
Yeah, LA Fitness.
Exactly. And then like this, I think this is my favorite one because look at the 2 and the 4 just look awful. Absolutely awful.
It looks like two different fonts.
Exactly. Exactly. And people give me crap, or they'll give Leaf crap all the time because of the unlicensing. Like, at least Leaf tries to either cover it up or make it look good, or at the very least, not make it look bad. This is just horrendous. But people are still going to buy it because it's Topps Chrome.
It's basically 1B or LeBron auto or bust.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other posts about it, which I don't think there is. I mean, yeah,
About,
and then you sprinkle that factor into it, which is, listen, I'm all for the Wemby, LeBron, the Bronny autos. I mean, make it as much of a selling point as you possibly can, but don't make the prices be through the roof when the generic cards are going to look like that. Just because what are we buying at that point? Like, what are we really buying at that point? Garbage. There was a guy that came in the other day, and he was an interesting guy. Let's just call it that.
okay.
And he's looking at it and talking big game. And I love these people. Talk big game, thick wallets, but they don't know how to use them. And he talks the talks, but he doesn't walk the walk. And I show him, I'm like, well, I don't carry a lot of the $1,000 cards or the $800 cards because not a lot of people buy them. And then I point to the Joe Burrow autograph that I got. It's 2 of 6 from Leaf. And I'm like, yeah, I got this Burrow autograph out of 6 and nobody wants it. It's only $200. He looks at it. Oh, but it's Leaf though. I'm like, well, what does that matter? He's like, yeah, but it's unlicensed. I'm like, can you tell? I'm like, okay. So, like, well, what's the licensing? Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that do? He just kind of like gargles and like, "Rah, rah." So I didn't get a clear answer. So I asked him again. I'm like, well, I sell a lot of Leaf products because, I think they're good products. They look good. They're affordable. You get a lot of good hits. And I kind of point back to the Joe Burrow. And I'm not trying to sell the Burrow. I'm just trying to use that as an example. Would you rather have a Joe Burrow autograph for $200, or would you rather go out and pay $2,000 for it? Answer's pretty simple. And he's like, yeah, I just don't like Leaf. I'm like, okay, but why? And I'm asking him this very nicely, and he just flips out. He's like, it matters to me. I'm like, okay, all right. I was just asking him why. He was like, I told you 3-4 times it matters to me. I'm like, all right.
Right, bro.
And the dude just stormed right out. But Ricky, he never told me why the licensing doesn't matter. Or why it matters. I don't know. It depends how you want to look at that. Never told me. But like, when you're getting, I deleted the thing, but when you're getting the cards that look like Trae Young, Brandon Miller, and Jason Tatum, the ones that we just saw, like, I don't know. I think the design should maybe matter. The look of the card, how the players that we're buying on the card look, maybe a little bit more than the brand of the card should look. Like, or the licensing for that matter. I mean, I tell people all the time, buy the player, not the brand. Like, Ricky, would you buy yourself a nice James Wood card for $100, or would you buy yourself a nice James Wood card for like $1,000? Like, what are you more likely to do? What are you more likely to do?
I don't spend too much money on my PC, so I'll buy whatever is cheap.
My point exact. So that's my thing. And I mean, we've talked about Topps Chrome on this podcast a ton of times. Once it comes out, it's going to be a firestorm. I think it was pre-selling for like $275 ish, give or take. Those things are gonna be $400 boxes on, a week after they release. And it's gonna be horrendous.
When does it come out?
I think like the end of the month. I think, well, quote unquote, the end of the month. Which I think they're kind of timing it bad with the start of basketball season, but then again, it's this past draft class, so like they're trying to give you the Wemby rookie stuff before the next draft class comes out. So I mean, like, kind of get it. But
Yeah,
holy crap, is it just awful?
This hobby definitely needs more Wemby cards. I was just saying that the other day. Wemby rookie cards.
There was a
There's not enough.
There was a stat way back when. Have you heard about this Trevor Lawrence rookie card stat? Maybe said it before, where it's, do you know in 2021, Trevor Lawrence's rookie year, first overall pick, how many unique rookie cards he has? So like the 1 of 10, the 2 of 10, the 3 of 10, that's not three different ones. That's so the one of the out of 10
Yeah,
is
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Do you know have you heard of this before?
No, what is it, like 2000, something like that?
Take an educated guess. How many unique rookie cards this man has?
Trevor Lawrence.
Mhm.
Let's say 400.
Are you sitting down? I think you are.
Yeah.
3,600. 3,600 unique rookie cards. Prism base, Prism silver, Prism red, Prism blue, out of 5, out of 10, out of 15, out of 25, Chronicles base, whatever. 36 unique rookie cards. And we all know, I don't know what the exact number is. We all know that Wembanyama is probably more because I know Topps made more inserts for, I'm sorry, not Topps. I know Panini made some more colored inserts, I think, in this past Prism set. I think there was 63 different inserts, including the base. So I think there was 63 total different cards for each player on the checklist. So just there alone is 63 out of one set. And that's not including Mosaic, Optic, Select, you name it, National Treasures, Flawless, all that stuff. Not including that
Hoops,
yet.
Illusions,
Huh?
Chronicles,
Chronic, you
Hoops,
name it. And they have
Illusions.
30, 30 sets maybe. Not every set's going to have 63, but let's just say they all have 50, right? 50 times 30, that's
1500.
1,500. That's a lot. And then you mix in the ones that have a lot more. Then you mix in the ones that are seriously numbered. And again, out of 1, out of 5, out of 10, out of 15, out of 20, first off the line, out of 27 or whatever. It's it. I'm glad there's a lot out there. And we can pivot to the Optic downtowns after this. I'm glad there's a lot out there to make it accessible for your average collectors, your young collectors, and people on a budget. It's fantastic for that purpose. And I'm happy. But when people try to mix in the whole resale value, or he's expensive, or he's through the roof, or his high market is sustainable, I'm like, hell, it ain't. Because once these Topps Chrome cards come out, I think everyone might be jumping ship in a few. Or when the when the first licensed set of it comes out, his first licensed Topps Chrome set, like, is that going to have a little bit of value, kind of like the Fleer Jordan, the 86 Fleer Jordan, even though he has the 84 star rookie card? So I think there's going to be some controversy in conversations and difference of opinions within the next couple of years. But
Well, hold on, real quick. What people don't realize is you kind of just mentioned it. When they release all these sets,
mhm.
they're not catering to people who resell.
Oh, of course
They're
not. They could care
they're
less.
catering to the collectors, the fans and all that stuff. They exactly. If they're not getting their cut from their cards, they do not care about you.
Mm-mm. And these companies should care to collectors, because that is what this hobby is a
Right.
collecting hobby. It's a
Like
collectible.
at the end of the day, like I said, I don't blame them for what they do.
No, I think it's a more of a, people think that what they have or what they paid for is still at or should be or worth more than what it is. And that's a very false narrative that people like to buy into, because they'll see another version of it, or like a better version of it, let's say, sell for more. Or they'll see that Wembenyama sold for $1 million or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, wow, if that card sold for that much, I mean, mine's pretty good too. Mine must be worth some good money. and they just subconsciously generate that false narrative. I mean, just like um with like Herbert, for instance, Luca. I mean, before Tatum won, what warrants those guys to have all this insane value? Like Luca has a card that sold for over 1 million. Herbert has had a card for sold over 1 million. Those sales will never go away. Those will always be written in history books of this hobby. But when people know, oh, a Justin Herbert and a Luca card sold for $1 million, mine must be pretty good. I got one of him himself, and like they just kind of falsely go down a rabbit hole. I mean, people know
Well,
that sports cards have value and are worth money, but they don't understand that their 80s and 90s junk wax singles or their 91 score set is worthless.
well, I was just about to say, like someone who might be just come back into the hobby after like 20 years or whatever. They see what 1B cards are going for, and they probably think like, "Oh, my Shaquille O'Neal rookies are probably through the
Hall of
roof."
Famer, top 10
He's a
player.
yeah, top 10 greatest center ever. You know, it's just it doesn't work like that. It
And like,
sucks.
listen,
Yeah. I,
it
I
went.
hate I hate
What's
having
that?
to be the one. I hate having to be the one to tell people that because like older co-workers or whatever will see that I'm into cards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, oh, I have a bunch sitting in my attic or whatever. Derek
I'll
Jeter
tell them
rookie
to
card,
you.
Derek Jeter rookie cards, Shaquille O'Neal rookie cards, and stuff like that. It's like, bro, you're not sitting on the gold mine. You're sitting on like aluminum mine at best.
I tell people to, before you do anything with it, because a lot of people will just end up throwing them away. Before you do anything with it, at least go through them and ask questions and look into it at the very least. Spend the hour or two to do the homework, because you might be throwing out a nice couple $100 card or maybe even 1,000. You just don't know. And when I hear 80s and 90s, okay, well, I'm thinking the bottom of the barrel, the worst of the worst. And for the most part, it is, but you just never know. You never know what your great uncle or your grandfather or your father, put in there. You just have no, especially if you don't know what you're looking for.
Right.
People know names, they hear of names, they're like, oh wow, Shaquille O'Neal, his cards must be through the roof. And then we got to be the bad guys to say, yeah, one of the best centers of, if not the best center of all time, top 10, top 5 player of all time. But that card's worth $4.12 because that's what it last sold for on eBay. Sorry. And I actually, it was hard for me to be the bad guy when I first opened the shop many moons ago at this point. But now when people come in, oh, do you buy cards? Is it 80s and 90s? Yeah. Or I don't know, it's old. I'm like, yeah, sorry. Look to your left. I got a dozen quarter bins full of all the stuff that you have in there. It's just not worth my time. And I try to be respectful about it. But again, they know sports cards have value. But are do we think that Optic downtowns are going to have value this year, Ricky, with the amount that have been pulled and first off the line?
It's been so crazy. Like the the gold out of tens are always going to be out of 10. The what are the 101s? Black, whatever.
Um, I know green was like numbered to something before.
Green is
Is it?
kaboom.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, the black Pandoras. They're the one-on-ones.
Yeah,
And
so
then
I mean,
green
those will
kaboom.
always be 101. The out of tens will always be out of 10. But oh my god, it looks like the base ones have been
Let me ask you
overprinted.
this. Let me ask you this. Do you think for each player on the Kaboom checklist, do you think there's more than 1,000 copies made? Now, keep in mind, they're supposed to be case hits. See, I think the answer is no.
Yeah, 1,000 might be pushing it.
So, like, I don't know what the pop report is on like CJ Stroud, Donruss downtowns. I don't know what that number is. We could probably go look it up. But let's just assume it's probably like, let's just say 200. Like, we want it to be a low number so it has value and so it means something when you hear a case hit. Now, case hits is per case on average for every case of that product's configuration. Hobby boxes, blasters, megas, fat packs, and hangers. Sorry, supposed to be a case hit per case. But first off the line's ripping off 20 to 30 of these case hits. Now guess it was an isolated situation, isolated problem that is ceased to exist. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Isolated to
This
the
is,
breakers only.
but this is my thing. If there is only 200 of that one player of the downtown, I don't know how big the checklist is. I think it's like 30 players or so. I'm not exactly sure.
Give or
Either way,
take.
what is that? 6,000, right? 30 downtowns, 20 to 30 downtowns a pop are coming out of a case. I don't know how many cases were open. Let's just say 10 cases were open. That's 2,000 of these case hit cards. No, I'm sorry, 200. Sorry, 200 case hit cards now taken out of circulation that aren't in the blasters, that aren't in the megas, that aren't in the hangers, that aren't even in the generic hobbies. And I think
Right.
that's a huge, huge problem. When people figure that out, I think the market of the optic hobbies, I think, will significantly plummet. I think the optic product line in general will significantly plummet, except the first off the line. I don't know if you can
Right.
see my hand, but the value of that, especially being first off the line, and then you mix in the isolated issue. I think it's a planned conspiracy, personally.
It's that's the thing. They don't care anymore.
Because they
Like
want
why?
us to spend our money on the bigger products with the bigger breakers, because they're the ones that are buying tons of product. They don't want us to get these case hits out of a random blaster at Target. Target's paying wholesale pricing, and I know what those numbers are, and that's as much as Panini's making. But Panini can charge these breakers more because they're getting more and getting better. And
Right.
that's what they want us to spend our money on. So those breakers come back to Panini and spend more money, because Target is not going to be able to buy first off the line hobby boxes. Sorry, they're just not going to. They can only get so much, and it's the cheap stuff. And that cheap stuff's pennies and dollars. That stuff's going to sell itself no matter what. So I think it's a planned conspiracy.
It,
Plain
it
simple.
has been. It has been for years.
Like 10 years, like as much as I want to think that this hobby's good, and I still think there's a lot of good in this hobby. I look back like 10 years, and the hobby was in a completely different spot. And personally, I wasn't opening football or basketball. It was mainly just baseball. But not once 10 years ago did I feel like, oh, this is rigged. Oh, this is a conspiracy. Oh, I'm wasting my money. Oh, I'm only chasing, the case hits. But now, I don't know, does it have something to do with social media? Obviously, money plays a factor into it. But like, obviously COVID, you could probably kind of point to COVID and be like, that's the point. But like, where along the way did we lose our ways? Where along this path did these manufacturers, and maybe it's a Panini issue, maybe Topps will be the golden boys and have no problems. Probably not. But who knows? But like, at what point did we find ourselves running into these isolated issues and having to talk about potential conspiracies in this hobby? And I know other platforms and influencers do this as well, but like 10 years ago, we were talking about, oh, I'm opening Top Series 2 and I'm looking for Sedane Rafaelo. Oh, I guess not. That back then he wouldn't have been a rookie, but we're looking forward to trying to complete the 2014 set of Red Sox cards, because that is what we're doing and this is how we have fun. But not anymore. Not anymore. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Stressful? No, not stressful. It's unbelievable, I guess is a good way to put it. Maybe. All
Okay.
I know is if I'm anybody that's anybody, I wouldn't open anything Optic football this year. I just wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Unless you can get your hands on a blaster for retail and you want to have fun, F-U-N, fun, and not care about the $30 you're spending on the box, fine, have at it. Go ahead. But if you're looking for those case hits, good luck. Because the chances of them being in those retail in every product besides the first off the line significantly decreased, plummeted in chances. Especially if these quote unquote case hits are supposed to be super ultra rare that they advertise on the box. Look for the ultra rare downtowns.
Yeah.
We would like to think that there's maybe 100 of them out there. They're ultra rare. But they control everything and they're going to pump it to oblivion. I'm sorry.
And
All right.
nobody's going to stop buying them.
Oh, no. People will buy them until they're blue in the face. Which is just like, if you don't know, you don't know. But for people that's been around this hobby, at this point, you have to know. Because we cannot keep defending people who just want to foolishly spend money. And again, if you're new and you don't know, you don't know. That's totally fine. Why am I going in and out? But it's just, me personally, I wouldn't touch. I mean, Optic hobby boxes are going between $9,000 and $1,000.
That's insane.
What are you going to get for $1,000 in that box?
Right. Like even if you hit a base downtown, you're not getting half your money back.
Let's take to eBay. Let's see. CJ Stroud, 2023 Optic downtown. Let's see.
Well, that's probably like $800-900.
No, I kind of just want the raw ones. Hold on. Let me share, present, share screen, eBay. I don't even know what's on here. Look at this. This is a 10. So this is raw right here. This is 3 days ago. Ricky, is this price tag sustainable? Yeah, I would say no. I would say no because more are going to get pulled eventually.
Right.
And they're going to dip in price. Like, let's just look at, I don't know, another top Trevor Lawrence. I was going to say, Jesus, $10. $1,000. So Trevor Lawrence is, I think we can do, I'm looking at the light, is definitively the best quarterback out of that 2021 class. I think we could probably say right now.
No,
by far. Okay. 2021 Optic. Oh, I didn't switch screens. Optic football hobby box. Okay. Hold on. Stand by. Stop. Present. Share. There's got to be an easier way to do this. Not even $1,000. You're paying $1,000 hoping to make that $1,000 back.
Right.
Now, of course, you can get the mega box and have a significantly worse chance and pay $120. But this is my point is, okay, I did delete it. It's just, it doesn't make sense right now. Sure. If you can spend $1,000 and make $2,400 off of it, sure. Who wouldn't do that? What are the chances? Slim.
If it was that easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly. And with the fact that these downtowns had an isolated issue, that just, shows that there's going to be less on the market, especially if we want to think that these are case hits and that they're once in a million boxes. We want them to be a million boxes. We want them to be super rare that I have and you don't. But your chances of pulling them are slim to none. So I feel like I did a lot of ranting in this video. I got a lot off my chest. I appreciate you, Dr. Ricky, for listening to my pains and my problems of this hobby that we both so love. But I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to kind of pick upon before we wrap things up? Anything you want to touch upon? Outgoing takes or piggyback off anything that we talked about in today's episode?
No, overall, I'm just really glad that I ended up going to the national. I think it's really put I don't know if this is the expression or whatever, but it really lit a fire under my ass. It really got me going.
I
because
like that.
you know before the Natty, I was just like, I guess I'll post a card on eBay. I guess I'll make a story sale. But now it's like I have a lot of shit to sell, and I have to sell it. So it's all I almost feel like I have to. So I'm
Good.
glad I went. I've been buying and I've been opening mailboxes, running to the post office basically every day since then. And yeah, now I have a case full of cards and I need to sell them.
Let's go. Now, quick question before I get into my outgoing take. Do you have a goal? Obviously, make money, spend money, get cool cards, sell cool cards. I get all that. But like, do you have like an underlying goal? Like, are you trying to maybe build a budget for a future show? Are you trying to build enough inventory to set up at a show? Or are you trying to build the funds um, to get better cards for your PC? Like, do you have like any kind of philosophical goal that you're trying to shoot for?
Right now, my biggest thing is growing. So like
That's a good one.
I'm, I had to make a new YouTube because they deleted mine for no reason.
No reason. That was so
Um,
weird.
but yeah, no, especially on eBay. Like I have a lot of dollar cards that I won't make really any money on. But as long as I get those transactions up, the reviews up, and that'll keep building. So like I don't mind losing $1 or two as long as it comes back as a positive interaction. So right now I'm just focused on growing.
Cool. And growing on like, probably like all platforms, pretty much eBay,
Correct. Correct.
Instagram, YouTube from ground zero, essentially. Which,
Yeah.
hey, we're all growing. I mean, I think growth, looking to continually grow, I think is a huge thing. I think being content or satisfied, kind of leaves you, um, volatile, not volatile, vulnerable. There we go. Vulnerable
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
something, something probably negative. So it's good to see that you got the fire lit under your ass and you got a lot of motivation and determination to do what you want to do, to grow, to sell, to get the reviews up, to get your name out there. That's really awesome to see. I mean, I just cracked over 1,000 subscribers, I mean, a goal that I never thought I'd get. But like now I see the 1,025. I feel like it's just 25, and like that's kind of the mindset that I'm trying to have.
Yeah.
Is like I'm I'm starting a new chapter, and like that's kind of like the mindset I'm having. Like I'm not content, I'm not satisfied. I'm thankful and appreciative, but like I want to continue to progress forward and grow. So I definitely do like that. And I think that's a good mantra to kind of have for the next 5-ish months of the season, is to continue to grow. But my outgoing take here is what you see right behind me is PSA. My
Okay.
outgoing take is do not buy the brand, buy the player. Do what you feel is right for your budget, for your patience level in terms of a turnaround time, because the mantra that PSA fetches the most resale value, and this is a conversation that we could dive into another day. Maybe we can do a next episode.
Next time. Next time.
Is I don't want to say it's completely false because it's not completely false, but it's more false than people want to admit. And I've constantly trying to. I mean, I struggled with that at the national, trying to move CGC. Some nice cards of CGC too, and nice grades. But if it was PSA, if it was PSA, and it's just like if it was PSA, then you'd be buying into it for less, which everyone wants to do, but then you'd be selling it for less, especially with the
Right.
Garatina. So my thing is collect slash buy slash do whatever the hell you want with your cards that you want to do, not what someone's telling you to do or not what someone else wants you to do. Do what you want to do. If that's PSA, that's fine. Like if that's PSA, that's totally fine. But if you like SGC because of the black tuxedo, great. If you like Beckett because of the thickness and like the gold or the silver label, great. If you like CGC because of the neutral, great. Whatever it is, do it because you want to do it, not because they want you to do it or they told you to do it. So we're definitely gonna have some more exciting topics and conversations next time for episode 25. Ricky, one away. Oh, I guess two away technically, but that will be one away from our yearly. We'll have to like do something exciting. I don't know. Maybe I'll have like a little hat or something because that's gonna kind of run up close to the shop's 3-year anniversary. I don't know the exact dates, but Ricky, thank you so much as always, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much for thousands of subscribers. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. We will see you in next episode in 2 weeks. Can't even see my hand. Can you see it over here? 2 weeks for Hobby Talk, a cardboard podcast. Ricky, until then, I will see you, good sir.
See you later.